child murder. Why did you do it?
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
That's a sense of relief, and yet we still don't feel this sense of joy. Why? The girls are never going to come back.
It's a tragedy for the community here and everywhere.
Shame on you! Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life!
Now to what's trending in true crime. The attorneys for Richard Allen doubling down on their claims of an Odinist cult being behind the killings of Abby Williams and Libby German. In newly found court documents, the defense claims that police hid evidence that supports their theory of a ritualistic sacrifice. Allen's team points to Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett swearing under oath that a Purdue University professor did not believe symbols of Odinism were displayed on the bodies of Abby and Libby. But according to the defense, prosecutors said they were unable to identify that professor. And once the educator was identified, the defense says that there was a taped statement given by him admitting that the scenario seems entirely plausible. What? So are we going to see a battle over Odinism? Let's bring in our guest and talk about it. Still with me, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Koffendorfer, State Attorney in Palm Beach County Dave Ehrenberg, and Criminal Defense Attorney and former Prosecutor David Bruno. Wonderful to have you all on the panel this Friday morning. Dave Ehrenberg, start us off, please. What are your thoughts on this?
Good to be with you and our fellow panelists. You know, I still think the whole theory is bizarre because we're talking about this weird cult of Odinism, which involves white supremacy. And the bottom line is this defendant confessed while he was in jail. And his take of that is, well, the guards were Odinists and they were standing over me and forced me to confess. I don't buy it. Also, they found the smoking gun literally at his house, the gun that likely was used in the killing because the calibers, the forensics matched. So I think the chance for the defense here is to get the search warrant pulled where the fruits of the poisonous tree, everything that they found after they searched his place would be thrown out. And that would leave prosecutors with a real problem here. If they can undermine the search warrant, I think that's the key. And that's what they're trying to do here. But for me, there's enough evidence to convict him already.
Dave Ehrenberg, thank you for those reminders. You know, the unspent round found by the girls' bodies that cycled through his gun, found in his house, as you said. Remember, he was wearing that blue Carhartt jacket, had it at his house. The suspect was wearing it in that video, the confessions. David Bruno, is this just great defense work, putting up a lot of smoke and mirrors for everybody to see?
Yeah, without a doubt. This is what defense attorneys do. And this is a circumstantial case. This is a long investigation, and they were able to use a video from a corner store as well as all these witness accounts of seeing a man. And also one of the victims had a cell phone video which depict that man on the bridge and audio saying, "Go down the hill." Now, when you add the ballistics, as my colleague Dave says, with the gun that matches the unspent round right next to the victim's body, that's the glue that brings all the circumstantial evidence in. This motion is trying to suppress the ballistics. I mean, it's critical because that would be the tie-in to all of this circumstantial inferences that the prosecutor's going to use. And it's essentially the defense's playbook at an early phase right here because they understand the significance of the ballistics. They have to essentially lay out their defenses here to try to get the suppression of the ballistics. It's a third-party guilt attack that's playing out in this filing. However, they gotta get the suppression of the ballistics because that's the thing that's gonna tie it all together.
All right, David, the case could go bye-bye, so lots is at stake. Even if these claims about Odenism aren't true, you're right. What's really, really going to be at issue is whether or not the evidence they found in his house when they got that warrant is going to be in or out at the trial. Last but certainly not least, Jennifer Coffendorfer, you've been digging in on this case for quite some time. Tell us what the evidence says to you, please.
Well, I think there's some issues with the evidence. First of all, yes, there are 5 potential confessions that he made over the phone to his mother and to his wife. So this isn't a jailhouse person coming forward. This would be very strong because it's recorded. But there's a lot of issues with him being housed in a maximum security facility in a 9-by-11 cell, and he was eating his paperwork. There's reports that he had basically lost his mind in there and then made these confessions. So the defense is definitely going to shine the light on that issue. And ballistically, this is not a strong case, in my opinion, because that round was extracted not by being fired, but through manual action. That means the extractor marks and the ejection marks are going to be light hits on those casings, or on that casing. And are they going to be able to make a determination that definitely it came from his gun? It's going to be problematic, I think.
Oh, appreciate that, Jennifer. Thank you. So we know no date has been set yet for a hearing on these claims the defense team is making. We know that they also have requested a discovery deadline from prosecutors for no later than November 1st. And if their hearing request is granted, they're asking for what's called a Franks hearing. If you hear that term, I usually like to think alliteration, like think Franks, think falsifying. They're trying to make these allegations that police lied in the efforts and kind of falsified some things that formed the basis of that warrant. So if they get this Franks hearing, and if they're successful at the hearing, and this evidence gets suppressed, should Richard Allen be let out on bond? We're thinking about bond at Court TV today. We were just talking about Brooks Houck and the big bond hearing arguments yesterday in front of the judge. Let me bring back in my guests, see what they think. Do we think the defense is trying to go there? Dave Ehrenberg, back to you, please.
Yeah, and as David said, if you can throw out the search warrant, if you'll suppress the evidence, and without the evidence, what do you have? I mean, Jennifer brings up some good points here. I mean, you don't have a very strong case without that so-called smoking gun, and you have the confessions, but overall, it's not, I think, strong enough to hold him without bond if the search warrant goes bye-bye. So I was a prosecutor, I would fight to the heavens to try to protect the integrity of that search warrant so that you protect the evidence that doesn't get suppressed, or else I don't think they have a good case.
I appreciate it, Dave. You're right. David Bruno, last word with you, please. How do you see this playing out? Do you think the court is going to give the defense an opportunity to have that Franks hearing that they want?
I believe they will, just because the evidence that's now come up contradicts a statement in the affidavit to support probable cause. Although I disagree with my esteemed colleague here, I do not believe it would result in the release, even if the ballistics is suppressed, because of the tight timeline that they have with Allen on the trail. He himself says that he was there from a couple hours. He says he was parked near a building that was parked erratically, is also confirmed by the convenience store video. And also you got the video from the victim's phone with the man that is similar to the description of Allen right behind them before they're told to go down the hill. So I think there's circumstantial evidence to support it, and I don't think it's going to result in the release even if they're successful.